And good morning once again, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Welcome to another Living Hope Today study. And today we find ourselves in Genesis chapter 49. If you know the book of Genesis, you know there are only 50 chapters. Things are winding up. If you recall, at the end of chapter 48, we saw Jacob adopt Manasseh and Ephraim, switching their birthrights so that Ephraim was first instead of Manasseh. And now in chapter 49, we're going to watch as Jacob basically predicts the future. You don't think God has a plan? Here through this one man, the third patriarch, you remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, Jacob is now going to bless his sons, and these sons are going to turn into the tribes of Israel eventually, and these tribes are going to have descendants that impact the history of the Israelite nation. It's profound that God shows Jacob all that's going to come about in future generations. And let's get to it this morning. We get to verse 1 and it says, "Then Jacob called for his sons and said, 'Gather around so I can tell you what will happen to you in the days to come.'" Notice the whole passage begins with Jacob declaring that he is going to prophesy over his sons. He says, look, assemble and listen, sons of Jacob. Listen to your father Israel. There we see both names again, Jacob and Israel, same man. Okay, here we go. Reuben. Hey, Reuben, you're my firstborn. You're my might. You're the first sign of my strength. You're excelling in honor. You're excelling in power. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But you're turbulent as the waters. You will no longer excel. Why not? For you went up onto your father's bed, onto my couch, and you defiled it. You remember Reuben slept with his stepmother. Really bad. It comes back now. Reuben is held accountable for his behavior. The blessing continues. Simeon and Levi are next. They're brothers, and Jacob says they're swords. There are weapons of violence. In other words, these are violent guys. Let me not enter their council. Let me not join their assembly, for they have killed men in their anger and hamstrung oxen as they pleased. You remember they killed all the people that raped, well, there's only one that raped their sister Dinah, but they went to Shechem and wiped out all the men there. Their violence has been remembered by Jacob in this blessing, and you really don't get a blessing. Here's what you get. Cursed be their anger so fierce, and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them in Israel. That's what we're told about them. They're going to be scattered and dispersed. We move forward to Judah. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Wow, that's almost like what happened to Joseph, right? His brothers bowed down before him. And now Judah, we hear your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. That implies you're going to be a conqueror. Your father's sons will bow down to you. Your brothers will be subservient to you, just like Joseph. Oh, interesting, isn't it? And then he says this, you are a lion's cub, O Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crouches and lies down, like a lioness who dares to rouse him. So, okay, the comparison to Judah now is a lion, that he brings the point of a lion up. We know that lions are known to be king of the beasts. Lions, well, let's just say it this way. The symbolism of the lion is going to carry through Judah's line all the way to Jesus, all the way. We know Judah will have a ruler when we look at 49, 10, 11, and 12. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nations is his. This is a subtle prophecy that Judah is the line through which the Messiah will come. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his colt to the choicest branch. He will wash his garments in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Look at all the ink that Judah gets. There's a future here with Judah. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, they kind of just get brushed over. Judah, we're going to stop and talk about him because his line is extremely important. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Zebulun is next. He'll live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. His border will extend towards Sidon. Okay, how does Jacob know that? The Spirit of God is resting on him as he delivers his blessing to Zebulun. Next is Issachar. Issachar is a raw-boned donkey lying down between two saddlebags. When he sees how good his resting place is and how pleasant is his land, he will bend his shoulder to the burden and submit to forced labor. So Issachar's what? He's strong, and he is going to be known for his work. He's going to be willing to apply himself when he understands the blessings that he's operating within. We move forward to Dan. Dan will provide justice for his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Now you got to remember something here. There's going to be a period of time coming where Israel has no king, and judges are sent by God to administer order among the nation. All right, Dan will provide justice, but just because he does that doesn't mean he's blessed and highly favored, so to speak. Dan will be a serpent by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heels so that its rider tumbles backward. Dan is going to be a fierce warrior. He's compared to a serpent by the roadside. You can't really see him well until it's too late. You're attacked. We know from the future that Dan eventually falls into terrible idolatry, the tribe, I should say. And Jacob ends his thinking about Dan by saying, I look for your deliverance, O Lord. In other words, Dan is going to be fierce. And if you're dealing with Dan, you're going to be asking God for deliverance. Gad will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at their heels. Notice, war, battle, military. Gad's going to be good as he counterattacks. Asher, what about him? Well, his food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. What's that talking about? He's telling us that Asher is going to be tremendous at farming, and he's going to settle in the Transjordan, it's called. He's going to have fertile ground, and he'll end up having descendants that are really, really proficient when it comes to farming. Again, Naphtali is listed. We're told that Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Now, just take a step back from all this. As we continue to go through the Old Testament and continue to watch the growth of the nation of Israel, the exodus out of Egypt, the establishment in the Promised Land into the future, we'll see these tribes performing these functions as Jacob has blessed them. We'll see it play out. What does it mean when it says Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns? Well, he's going to have a great heritage. He's going to have a great heritage. And as history plays out, we'll see that more and more as we see the events and as Scripture tells us what happens to Naphtali. Now, Jacob gets to Joseph. He says, Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall. Now, we would expect Joseph to get the most ink in this line of blessings, wouldn't we? We should, because that's exactly what happens. Jacob says, with bitterness, archers attacked him. Okay, what's he talking about? Well, this is imagery, I think, for his brothers selling him into slavery. They shot at him with hostility, but his bow remained steady. His strong arm stayed limber because of the mighty one of Jacob. Because of the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, because of the shepherd, the rock of Israel. I just want you to notice that as Jacob blesses Joseph, he continually brings up God's power working in and through Joseph's life. All right? God has given Joseph the strength to endure all these things because of your father's God who helps you, because of the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of the heavens above, blessings of the deep that lies below, blessings of the breast and the womb. Your father's blessings are greater than the blessings of the ancient mountains, than the bounty of the age-old hills. Let all these rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince of his brothers. Well, even in his dying blessings, Jacob lets the group know that Joseph is his favorite and that Joseph is the one that's most highly favored by God, and that Joseph has basically, it's obvious, he's saved the whole family through God's providence by being able to provide for them during the famine that's occurred. Joseph, he's the most emphasized one of the brothers in this situation. Benjamin, he is a ravenous wolf. Really? What does that mean? He attacks, and he can't get enough. In the morning, he devours the prey. In the evening, he divides the plunder. So what should we expect? As we see the history of the nation play out, we should expect to see Benjamin being a great warrior and having descendants that are the same. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said to them when he blessed them, giving each the blessing appropriate to him. God has predicted these things. So quickly, let me finish the chapter. Then he gave them these instructions. I am about to be gathered to my people. Look at this. Look at this. Jacob, before he dies, he knows God's promise is going to be realized, and he is not going to live to see it. All right, what's God's promise? That they're going to inherit the Canaan land, the promised land. He knows it. They're going to become a great nation. They're going to inherit that land. So what does he say? I'm about to die. Okay, but I want you to bury me with my fathers in the cave, in the field of Ephron the Hittite, the cave in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre in Canaan, which Abraham bought as a burial place from Ephron the Hittite, along with the field. Remember this back several chapters ago. Abraham buys this field in chapter 23, and he buries Sarah there. All right? Now, Jacob says, bury me there too. In fact, it's emphasized. There Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried. And there I buried Leah. Notice Rachel, Jacob's favorite, was not buried there. She died on the way to Canaan land and was buried near Bethlehem, if you recall. But Leah was buried there. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittites. Again, the whole history is recounted about that's why Jacob wants to be there. We own a piece of property in the new place God's going to take us to someday, and I want you to bury me there. When Jacob had finished giving instructions to his son, he drew his feet up into the bed. He breathed his last and was gathered to his people. So Jacob exits the stage of history. What a patriarch he was. But before I go today, let me just review with you. Reuben, he is told he's no longer going to excel. His birthright is erased. No judge, no prophet, no military leader comes from the line of Reuben. Simeon and Levi are lumped together. Simeon is the smallest tribe according to Numbers 26. Levi is scattered. Levi does, however, receive the priesthood from God, so he's able to have that blessing in his life. Judah, the scepter is not going to depart from Judah. Through the line of Judah, we're going to have King David. We're going to have King Solomon. Ultimately, we're going to have Jesus. Judah prospers. Okay, Zebulun, well, he does get situated on a trade route that's used by sailors. He does have a lot of influence in that regard. Issachar, he's industrial. He's robust. He gets good land. He knows how to work hard. Dan, he's called by Jacob Justice. He's said to be a warrior. He's very aggressive. He's idolatrous, as you watch history play out. One interesting thing, you'll see him omitted from the 12-tribe list in Revelation 7 at the end of the book. Gad, he's a warrior. He produces valiant fighters. He's attacked, and he does attack back. He counterattacks. Asher, as we said, he's a great farmer, rich in food and produce. Naphtali, he's strong as a warrior. He produces Deborah and Barak as his line goes forward. Joseph, again, gets the majority of the press here. And we see what it says. He's the prince among his brothers. He's going to be fruitful. He has the blessings of heaven, the blessings of the deep, the blessings of the breast, the blessing of the womb, the blessing of ancient mountains and age-old hills. He is a prince. All right, and his father calls him that. All right, what do we have from there? Well, we have Benjamin. He's like a wolf. He's a great warrior. He does produce both significant Sauls in the Bible. Saul, that is the first king of Israel, comes through the line of Benjamin. Saul of Tarsus in the New Testament, as we know him, Paul, writing half the New Testament, he is also from the tribe of Benjamin. Then you remember, we have Manasseh. He will become great. He should be the firstborn, but that privilege is given to Ephraim instead of Manasseh. All right? Ephraim produces the prophet Samuel eventually. Manasseh produces Gideon. But there you have it. These are the 12 tribes as we move forward. And as the book ends, we'll see some details taken care of in chapter 50. But from there, we're going to fast forward 400 years or so to see what happens when God delivers Israel from captivity in Egypt. I pray you stay with me. It's going to be great. God bless you, church. Serve him well today.